This is Smarter San Diego TV.
Here is what they don't want you to know.
Owning a home is the cornerstone of any good financial plan or retirement strategy. I mean, that's the real reason we buy real estate.
You've got to be smarter if you want to be successful. That's what this show is
This is
for.
going to blow your mind. You're going to share this with everyone you know.
I guarantee to make you smarter than everyone else.
If you do nothing else in your lifetime to save for retirement other than own your home free and clear, you're going to be okay.
And now, here's your host, Derek Evans.
This is the place right here where we guarantee to make you smarter than everyone else. Today's show jam-packed, per the usual, with fantastic guests, as we'll first speak with Tim Strombel from Cannabis. They're sort of the Forbes in the cannabis industry. He'll tell us everything we need to know. Next, we'll speak with Scott Ryan, our community connection in Scripps Ranch. He'll tell us whether or not this once sought-after neighborhood is losing its luster or just picking up steam. Next, we'll speak with Davidji, internationally renowned spiritual leader and author, and one of my personal gurus. This segment will change your life. Next, we'll talk with Dale Entrekin. We get his opinion on Donald Trump and the government's new cash cow, mortgages. Then we'll speak with Siamak Karami, a successful businessman and good friend of mine who will tell us about a modern-day Holocaust taking place in China right now. Next, we'll speak with Scott and Christina Harms. They'll tell us exactly what you should be doing if you have an underfunded retirement. Our next guest is the media director for Cannabis. Here to tell us all about the green rush, my good buddy Tim Strombel is here. Tim, how you doing, man?
Awesome, man. How are you? Thanks
Great.
for having me, by the way.
Yes, thanks for coming. Everyone wants to know about this. How do I invest in this? What's going on? Colorado, all this. So first of all, tell us what is Cannabis?
So Cannabis is a multimedia company. It really started as a digital publication, grew into multimedia, podcast, video, everything like that. And what it does is it really provides the blueprint to get into the cannabis space as an entrepreneur. So we cover entrepreneurs in a positive light to show people and to show the world that this industry is being run by a lot of people who are well-educated, well-funded, doctors, lawyers, real estate experts, all over, to kind of destigmatize the cannabis industry.
Okay, so you think that the stigma out there is that it's all a bunch of Rastafarians, walking around with blunts on the street corner. But what you want to show is the business side. This is what's happening. There are real business people who are getting involved in this. It's become legal in Colorado now for what do you call it, personal use of cannabis. So what have you been doing? Tell us what the media director for Cannabis does. Who have you been talking to?
Oh, we've been talking to everyone from Gary Johnson, a two-term ex-governor of New Mexico, who actually left his spot in New Mexico to run for president in 2012, then started his own cannabis company, is now president of a cannabis company. We've talked with Tommy Chong, one of the biggest cannabis activists of all time, who's going through cancer treatments.
Tommy Chong?
Well, it's interesting with Tommy Chong.
From Cheech and Chong, right?
From Cheech and Chong,
Okay.
correct. And he's become a big advocate and almost like a Socrates to the industry, kind of getting the stigma away from him being like the stoner persona as well, and really becoming a businessman, talking a lot about his story. He's had cancer multiple times, and he's treated it with cancer or with cannabis, in addition to conventional treatment. And then just a number of high-profile CEOs, executives, and presidents of companies in the industry, some of which left Fortune 100 companies to start a company in the cannabis space because it's the next tech boom.
No kidding, right? Because that's a lot of what it is. It's manufacturing and it's technology. There's all sorts of, I've looked up a bunch of stuff on this, and there's all sorts of technology companies that are involved in one way or another, whether it's through the medical side or through the recreational side. Really, really interesting stuff. So Colorado was sort of the guinea pig, right? That's the first state to really make this an industry, the cannabis industry. We're calling it the green rush. Hashtag green rush is what you're seeing if you want to look up cool stuff about it. Everyone's asking me, how do I invest in it? And not just, people that are our age, let's say, Gen X, Gen Y, millennials, not just those guys, but boomers are asking about it. Parents are asking about it. They're saying, I don't necessarily agree with this whole thing, but how do I invest in it? So you were in Colorado for a huge expo there. What can you take away from that? I haven't been there since this has all happened. Is everyone a pothead in Colorado now?
The interesting part about Colorado is everyone thought when it went legalized that it was just going to be stoners on the streets, Rastafarian culture. But you go there and it's just like downtown San Diego. It's like any other city. No one's smoking in public, anything like that. A couple of interesting facts about Colorado is because they legalized recreationally and medically, they've seen a huge boom in the residential and commercial real estate properties. Everyone's moving out there, starting businesses. It's really brought in a lot of money into the economy. And another huge bonus of this legalization that people haven't considered is the tax ramifications. Now, when the law initially passed in Colorado, the measures in the law and how it was written said that a certain amount of taxes would go back into the schools. So of all the tax revenue they generate, 10% goes right back to the schools. So Colorado raised $100 million from cannabis tax. Okay, so that's 10.
Wow.
It was 30%, excuse me. 30% goes back to the schools. So $30 million went back into the schools.
Holy smokes.
Now what's even crazier is initially they capped that at 75 million. They raised 100. So the voters in Colorado passed another referendum to say, we don't want to get that money back. Put it back into the schools.
So they're just dumping cash into the schools.
The original referendum said anything over 75 goes right back to the residents of Colorado, like a refund almost.
Huh.
They stopped it. They said, no, we want this 25 mil going back into the schools.
Fantastic. Can you imagine if we ultimately fund our schools with the tax revenue from cannabis?
What's interesting...
I mean, it's just ironic, but at the same time,
yeah,
it's like poetic justice or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Now, you recently talked to you're interviewing the who's who. Mm-hmm. You talked to Kyle Turley recently on the podcast, right?
Yeah, we talked to Kyle Turley. He's a two-time All-Pro in the NFL, as a lot of people know. He didn't get into cannabis until his third year in the league, when actually a future Hall of Fame teammate of his, while in St. Louis, gave it to him when he was really dealing with a lot of physical issues, emotional issues. You talk about CTE and concussions being a huge problem in the NFL. Some thinking it's going to derail the NFL as a global conglomerate of a business. Kyle Turley used for half of his NFL career, and it allowed him to keep playing. He thinks cannabis, and medical cannabis especially, is going to save the NFL, and studies have shown that it has been productive in Alzheimer's treatments, suicide prevention treatments, and CTE, which is the disease associated with Alzheimer's. Junior Seau, we're local in San Diego, lost him to this disease that brought it to the forefront. Medicines like this and organic options really kind of give these athletes a chance at having a longer career, first of all, and then having a healthier life once they're past their career.
Yeah, because it's especially in the NFL, where it's not like baseball, it's somewhat low impact. It's a high impact game, and you've got head injuries that are happening over and over and over. We've also found in our research that a lot of patients who are either getting the substance, through legal means or not, who have seizures and other sorts of head disease and conditions, have been able to use liquid form, not necessarily smoking form, but there's other forms. It's not just smoking anymore. You can ingest it. There's pills you can take. There's candies that you can take and get the medicine into your body, and that's really helping a lot of people out there, including young children.
Well, the cool thing about Kyle Turley, too, is ever since he retired, he's had chronic knee pain, back pain, and social and mental issues associated with football in his career. When we talked to him last week on the podcast, he's now 6 months without taking any pain-killing drug. And all he does is medically cannabis.
Yeah.
And that's a lot. If you've ever played a sport and you've taken some ibuprofen, doesn't take any ibuprofen. So anyways, that's a way that it really helped him. Another big misconception in the industry, and to speak to what you just said, is the separation between CBD, hemp, and cannabis. A lot of companies are taking the THC away. And if you don't know what THC is, it's the part that gets your brain all relaxed.
Psychedelic.
The psychedelic,
aspect, right?
the psychotropic part of the brain of the medicine. A lot of companies are taking that out. Now, what you're basically left with is almost a multivitamin, an organic multivitamin that doesn't get you high, but provides all of these organics and medicines that stimulate neurological paths in your brain. It's blocking seizures, like I said, treating Alzheimer's, Crohn's disease, a myriad of things, because of all the cannabinoid levels of molecules in these plants. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's crazy that that's happening. So you've been talking to all these people. You've been sort of the industry insider, going around interviewing people, talking to the people who are running the biggest companies in the industry. Have you talked to anyone who's got their finger on the pulse of what's next for, let's say, California?
Yes, absolutely. We interviewed recently Dale Sky Jones. He's the executive chancellor at Oaksterdam University. People hear Oaksterdam and they're like, oh, it's a bunch of hippies talking about cannabis. That's not what it is. It's people that have left whatever industry they're in and they're going to get education as to exactly what it means to operate in the cannabis space, because it's the toughest, most regulated space in America to operate in.
Right.
What our show does is we give you that blueprint, and if you can operate successfully in the cannabis space as an entrepreneur or learn from those who do, you can operate in any industry overall. Now, Dale Sky Jones is the head of a number of different organizations in California, and she is actually the chairwoman of the actual writing of the bill that's expected to pass next November. And so what she did is they hosted forums and meetings up and down California, meeting with everyone inside, outside the industry. Do you have a concern? Are you an advocate or just a casual person who's watching? Okay, and her goal is to create a bill that's not perfect for anyone, but works for everyone, which is important because you talk about...
To legalize cannabis in California.
Yes.
That's the goal.
That's the goal. And there's a lot of other interests and parties that are going to be proposing legislation. Her group is the most comprehensive, well-funded, thoughtful, I guess I would say, bill that's going to be put out there. You know, it's written and developed from all these people inside and outside the industry who are thinking about these things. When it passes, what do we do to make it safe for kids?
Right.
What are the regulatory systems? What are the tax systems we need to put in place to make this a successful industry for everyone? Not one specific industry and not one specific business inside of it, but everyone as a whole.
Yeah, and that almost passed already. I mean, we voted on that here in California. What was it, 2012, I think?
There's been a couple of referendums.
And it was razor thin. I mean, it was like 52 to 48 or something like that against, which was crazy because we thought for sure, oh, this is California, you know, Colorado can do it. But no, it didn't happen. So you think that's going to happen? I mean, is she confident based on all the people she's been talking to that that's the next wave?
It's not even just her. It's the nation. I mean, anyone who's in the industry or knows about the industry is expecting California to pass November 2016. It's really a double-sided coin that it hasn't passed before. You could say it's negative. I say it's positive because it's given them time to really think about all the different levels. You know, use Colorado, Washington, and Oregon as examples and guinea pigs of things that have worked, things that haven't, and pull into California.
When people say, okay, I see it, I get it, the boom, it's here. How do I invest in this? Or how do I even start to look and figure out what to invest in?
There's a number of different platforms. We recently interviewed Michael Berger. He's the president and CEO of Technical 420, to name drop that app. It's an app for your phone and computer that basically walks you through the cannabis field. What they do is they vet these companies. They're a third-party independent site. They vet the companies. They give strategic plans as to how to invest, and then go and check out their company and maybe invest in it. Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. This industry, it's so ground level that if you see something like that through the Cannabis website, just go ahead and call that guy or gal and say, hey, you're open for investors. Because it's at that point where something like that is actually possible still. Which is crazy given the projections for what this industry is going to bring in the way of economic stimulus to the state of California. Tim Strombel, thank you so much for being here today, man. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.
Great stuff. All right, Cannabis. That's if you want information about the cannabis industry, you got to check out Cannabis. Stick around for more Smarter San Diego TV, where we guarantee to make you smarter than everyone else, commercial free. One of the most popular suburban areas of San Diego County for several decades now has been Scripps Ranch. But how are things going now after all these years? Is it still the desirable community it's always been? Today we asked Scripps Ranch real estate expert Scott Ryan to give us the skinny. Scott, welcome to the show, man.
Thanks, Derek. Appreciate having me on.
So tell us what's going on at Scripps Ranch. Now, desirability is usually tied to real estate prices, so I'm sure we can make some conclusions there, but what do you think is happening at Scripps Ranch now?
It's a great community. I mean, as a real estate professional over the past 13 years, I decided to make it my home back in 2006. And I frankly feel that Scripps Ranch is San Diego's best kept secret.
Really?
It's a great community full of families, great environment. It's beautiful, picturesque. And I just think it's a safe haven for people to invest their money.
You know what I've heard about Scripps Ranch, and you can probably confirm or deny this for me, but I've heard it's a huge community. There's a lot of homes there, but it feels small. Is that right?
It does. It really has a small town feel. I mean, when you meet your neighbors, whether you're at the gym or the grocery store or any community events, concerts in the park, that sort of thing, you just know everybody and you see everybody. Everyone's friendly. It's just a great community that supports you, and it's really been an anchor in my life.
Well, let's talk about how desirability is tied to real estate prices and what's happening in the market. When people want to live in an area, then we see prices go higher. Have we been seeing that in Scripps Ranch?
Absolutely. I mean, Scripps Ranch used to be the forefront of real estate development back in the 80s. In fact, I have a lot of neighbors and friends and people that I've talked to that camped out for weeks, months on end to buy these lots in Scripps Ranch. So over the years, we've had a lot of original owners that are still there, but now we're starting to see a lot of young families come in. Some of these generations of families are selling and moving out of Scripps Ranch, downsizing, and a lot of young families are coming in. So with that said, the prices have just acclimated incredibly. So definitely, I would agree with that.
Okay, so prices have gone up. I think there's a sweet spot in every community. What's the sweet spot in Scripps Ranch? In other words, where's the area that is the most desirable and therefore probably the hardest to get into?
Well, a lot of people move to Scripps Ranch because they want to get more house for their money. And the sweet spot that I like to call Scripps Ranch would be between $600,000 and $800,000. Right now, like many other communities in San Diego, we are experiencing a massive shortage of inventory in that price range. Currently under $700,000, there's only 4 homes on the market, and under $800,000, there's 12 homes on the market.
Wow.
It's an incredible shortage.
Incredible.
Yeah, it is. And over this past year, we've had 168 sales in Scripps Ranch total. And of that, the average price is about $793,000, and you can expect to get about a 2,400 square foot house for your money there.
Okay, and that's the average right around 800.
Yeah.
And there's only 12 homes for sale right now in Scripps Ranch under 800.
Yeah, and what makes that problem even more amplified is the median days on market for those homes sold this whole entire year was 12 days on market. So buyers don't have a lot of time to decide. If they're looking to buy and they're in that median price point for San Diego, affordable price point for what we call Scripps Ranch, they're going to have to make a decision fairly quickly.
Sounds like sellers kind of have the advantage there then, Scott. If you're a home seller in Scripps Ranch right now, it would be a good time to pull the trigger, huh?
We need those sellers. We need those sellers right now.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Plenty of buyers lined up. So now you live in Scripps Ranch, your family, your wife, your 3 kids. Is that kind of the normal perfect fit for Scripps Ranch? Is it more of a family community?
There are a lot of families, but there are also a lot of couples. So I'd say it's a good fit. It's an active community. I mean, you have so much to do there. You have Lake Miramar, which is a 5-mile loop around there for jogging and biking. You have the library, you have concerts in the park, you have all kinds of activities. A lot of them are family-based, but I'd say Scripps Ranch is a good fit for anybody who wants to feel safe and is social and wants to know a lot of their neighbors.
Yeah, I tell you, it's interesting because I know you live in Scripps Ranch. You're our Mr. Scripps Ranch. But you kind of cut your teeth in the La Jolla marketplace, and your office is still in La Jolla, right?
It is, and La Jolla is really where, when I first was licensed, that's where my roots started, and I feel very fortunate to have represented many home buyers and sellers in the luxury segment down at the coast. La Jolla, obviously, for good reason, is a wonderful place to live. It's not far from Scripps Ranch, so it allows me to work both markets, and I really enjoy it.
So, and we've got a clip that we're going to show of an amazing property in Bird Rock. So stick around for this clip. You will not believe this house we're going to show you. But tell me how the two connect. In other words, when someone is looking in the La Jolla marketplace, do they ever end up finding their way back to Scripps Ranch?
Over the years, obviously, with the rise in coastal real estate prices, I meet a lot of people at the coast. And maybe they're not from San Diego, maybe they don't understand what's going on at the coast from a real estate perspective. And they ask me, where can I get a a sizable home, 3,000 plus square feet. Maybe they have $1 million budget if they're looking for that smaller bungalow at the beach for $1 million. I bring them out to Scripps Ranch and they see the benefits. It's not that far from the coast. There's a lot to offer there, and it's a good secondary option if you can't afford that luxury home at the beach.
All right, so before we see this clip of this amazing property in Bird Rock, tell us a little bit about it.
You know, I feel very fortunate to work with these clients. This home is built by expert builder Pelican Development. It was designed by EOS Architecture in La Jolla. The thought, the planning, the detail in this home it's unsurpassed. I mean, you see a lot of properties that are built these days. You don't see a lot of homes with the quality and the luxury and the detail and the architectural integrity that this home offers. It's located at 5380 Waverly Avenue, just adjacent to the Bird Rock Elementary School, which is a huge selling point.
Yeah, actually adjacent. I mean, they like share a property line.
It is, and it's great. We built the property with the idea of capturing the dramatic ocean views to the south and to the west. And I think once you see the clip, you can appreciate just how fine and detailed this home really is.
Okay, great stuff from Scott Ryan. Stick around right now to check out this amazing clip of this cottage in Bird Rock.
Wake up to dramatic ocean views and take in the seaside breeze while you enjoy a cup of coffee on your outdoor covered terrace. Family is an integral part of life in Bird Rock, and this home offers a close proximity to Bird Rock Elementary, one of La Jolla's most coveted schools. This newly constructed residence is the ultimate dream opportunity for your La Jolla lifestyle. The open concept floor plan features a main level with a spacious living room illuminated by 6 skylights beaming with natural light. Savor the gourmet chef's kitchen with a tasteful mix of services including a Carrara marble island, quartz countertops, and a top-of-the-line appliance package. One of the finest features of this home is the spacious master suite, which features a generous walk-in closet and spa-quality master bath with rain-head limestone shower and Kohler soaking tub, a perfect setting to get your day started. The use of indoor-outdoor living areas with voluminous ceilings and ocean view terraces allow this home to live much larger, with plenty of space to entertain friends and family. For the outdoor enthusiast, enjoy a short walk to the popular Calumet Park overlooking the Pacific Ocean and explore the rocky coastline in search of the perfect wave at some of La Jolla's finest surf breaks. On behalf of Scott Ryan and Coldwell Banker Residential Brokerage, I'm pleased to bring you 5380 Waverly Avenue. Immerse yourself in the Bird Rock lifestyle.
Our next guest is someone I listen to every week. His insights and teachings have made me a better person and allowed me to live a better life. Please welcome to the show, Davidji is here. David, how you doing, man?
I'm great. Thanks for inviting me, Derek. It's great to be back with you.
It's great to have you. Now we're on TV. It's a little different than being on the radio.
Yeah.
We don't have as much time as we do on the radio, which is so sad, but I really want to hear about your new book, De-stressifying. You've been working on this for a long time.
Yeah.
Tell us what we're going to get when we read this book.
Stress is here. The definition of stress is how we respond when our needs are not met. And that happens between 8 and 15 times a day. Right now, think about how many times so far this day your needs have not been met. How you respond, how you react to that 8 to 15 times a day becomes the fabric of your life.
Wow.
So after spending about a decade researching and studying and spending time with hundreds of thousands of people in the military, in law enforcement, pretty high-stressed business leaders, entrepreneurs, really analyzing and taking in what were the steps that they could take to allow them to transcend stress.
Yeah.
So I've been working on it. It's finally birthed. It's here. De-stressifying. It's not a word, but it is now. And hopefully it'll sweep through the planet, and people will really dive into these practices, which include heightening our awareness through meditation, finding ways to communicate more consciously, more lovingly, to get our needs met, identifying and prioritizing our needs, raising our emotional intelligence, and really discovering our purpose, our meaning. And if we can put our attention on those 5 core areas, de-stressifying will allow us to live our lives with greater grace and greater ease.
Fantastically said. And you know, you've been helping me do this already for a long time. By the way, my autocorrect doesn't like the de-stressifying word yet. We got to get that fixed somehow.
Right.
But 16 seconds
Yeah.
was something that was huge for me. And you still
Right.
have that as a hashtag that's trending out there.
Yeah.
Hashtag 16 seconds. Is that in the book as well?
It is. You know, it's funny. I started off teaching when I started teaching special forces and people in the military. They were like, "Don't talk to me about meditation." I said, "Well, let me teach you a 16-second pattern interrupt." And we can do that now, and all of our viewers can
Let's do that. Can we do
play
16
along with that.
seconds right now?
Yeah, let's do that.
do
So,
that. Okay.
so first of all, think about something that's been irritating you, something that's been disturbing or bothering you. Don't go too deep. This isn't therapy. But just envision that concept in your mind's eye. And when you're pretty clear on it, maybe you even associate a face with that discomfort or irritation. And now close your eyes, and through your nostrils, take a long, slow, deep breath in, and watch that breath as it moves down into your belly, and hold it there, and watch it, and witness it, and observe it. And now slowly watch it as you release it. Watch it move up your chest into your throat, out through your nostrils again, and hold that breath out, and then watch it as it dissipates into the ether. And when it feels comfortable, you can open your eyes, breathe normally. That was 16 seconds. In those 16 seconds, if you were playing along, and if you were playing along, you weren't in the past, you weren't in the future, you weren't thinking about that irritation.
Yeah.
You were fully present for those 16 seconds. Technically, that's a meditation.
It is.
So people might be going, "No, don't make me meditate. The devil will steal my soul." And really, all we did was introduce a really powerful pattern interrupt. And the funny thing was, I started, hashtagging that 16 seconds and showing myself in various meditation spaces. And it was this peaceful, loving, sweet, angelic hashtag. And then suddenly, Ronda Rousey, who's that fighter, she started defeating people in 16 seconds. So she started hashtagging people. And so if you go on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter and you click on hashtag 16 seconds, you see people either meditating or with like a foot on their neck being knocked out in 16 seconds.
That's hilarious. Well, what's funny is what you said earlier about stress, that it's here.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot from you about emotions. I didn't realize I was an emotional person, or how emotional of a person I was, until I heard your guided meditation. I think it was from one of the 21-day challenges through the Chopra Center or something from years ago.
Right.
And you talked about how, when you feel something, when you have an emotion, it's a reaction to your needs either being met or not being met, right? And if your needs are being met, then you're probably happy, and if they aren't, then you probably aren't. And so if you can recognize that, when I start to feel something, okay, what need is not being met right now?
Right.
And how serious is it? Because we tend to take everything super seriously.
Especially in the moment.
Right? So I think that was a huge thing for me personally, to be able to recognize and then consciously go through. And every time that occurs now, I'm able to take a step back and go, all right, what need isn't being met? And how serious is it really? Because most of the time what you find is it's something completely that doesn't matter.
Well, we're ruled by our chemicals unless we make the conscious choice to master our emotions. Otherwise, it's hormones, chemicals, they're surging in, and suddenly the thing, the guy taps your bumper. If you're in a bad mood before that, you jump out of the car and you start screaming.
Right.
If you're listening to your favorite song, you're like, oh, that's okay, dude. And then you keep driving. The same exact action. How do we respond in that moment? So I think it's an ongoing process. I think as long as we're human, as long as we have breath in our bodies, we're going to have to put some attention on this to make ourselves better versions. I have not yet met anyone, and I've met so many great spiritual leaders. I've yet to meet someone who's enlightened. I think once you're enlightened, that's your last breath, and then you're into another realm or who knows where.
Now, your teachings are very spiritual, but you don't really identify with a religion, at least that I can tell. I mean, I get your Life Tools video every week. I do your weekend meditation, which is like the Christmas gift. Every single week on Fridays, I get this guided meditation from Davidji, davidji.com. You can sign up for it there. It's 100% free. And you get this every week, and I'm so happy when I see it, and I'm like, oh, yes, I have a sweet guided meditation from Davidji here that we get to do. And it's always unbelievable. I mean, you are extremely talented at guiding meditations, just amazing. I'm telling you. I've done a lot of them. I can tell you you're the best. Do you identify with a specific religion? Are you Buddhist? Would you say that?
It's interesting. What I found, I've explored so many different types of ancient philosophies and timeless wisdom traditions. And what seemed to resonate with me was to find the thing in each one of them that really felt right, that really resonated. And so I don't actually have one guiding religion. I love the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. I love the compassionate Christ consciousness. I love the peacefulness of the Buddha. I love so many different components of so many different religions and teachings that rather than put myself in a box, I really felt, you know what, let me, and I do that in my teacher training too. That's why I call it the Masters of Wisdom in Meditation Teacher Training, because I want my students not to be a clone of me. I want them to find the threads of every philosophy that really work, because probably there's only one message, and it's love. But there's probably about, how many people on the planet? 8 billion? So there's 8 billion paths to get to that. And at the end of our life, we get to the top of the mountain, and we look down, and we go, oh, there was 8 billion other paths to get here. Mine, this was mine. This is the one that resonated with me. So I have deep honor and respect for every religion and philosophy. And the ones that really resonate with me, those are the ones I incorporate into living my life.
Do you believe in reincarnation?
I think I do. I think I do. I think in a, I think that when we take our last breath, it's not over. I don't know what's on the other side. I did some kooky journeying while I was in India, and I met the naughty palm leaf reader who told me all about my past lives and my future lives and my moment of death. Like too much detail about my past. I was like, how do you know that stuff? And he's like, it's right here on the leaf. And I go, so I don't even get that, how that even happens. But I know that when people say to me, I think the reason that I'm not attracting love in my life is because in my past life I have unresolved issues. And I like to say, how about we go back 5 years instead of 100 years? The fact that you were Marie Antoinette in your past life, I don't think that's it. I think it's the fact that you're bitter over having your heart broken, and you probably need to forgive yourself a little bit more. And so I might believe in it, but I don't think that's the driving force. I think we are empowered, conscious beings who, as long as we acknowledge what's happened in the past, we can own the present and we can step into the future and we can live our dream lives without saying, but in 1845, I wasn't a good person and that's why I'm being punished in this life. So I think I believe that, but I think what happened in the past, week probably is more relevant.
Okay, that makes sense. What do you think about the yoga revolution that's going on right now, especially here in Southern California? Is yoga something that should be a part of everyone's life?
I think it's great. Yoga is a Sanskrit word. It means union. So it's all like one love. It's can't we get along? It's the whole it's a little kooky, probably outside of the whole San Diego world, where you go like namaste, my friend, and everyone's talking Sanskrit and everyone's getting in various poses. I think it's a great addiction, considering that there's so many other addictions out there that are probably not nourishing for people to be connecting a little bit to their bodies, to their hearts, to their minds, slowing down a little bit, learning to meditate, even if you're just laying in shavasana at the end of your yoga class for 3 minutes. I think it's great. So I endorse that habit, and I endorse that addiction, considering there are so many other paths that we could be going on.
No kidding. And there's one more thing I wanted to get from you today, because very few of the other meditation leaders out there use the Om as much as you do. And I think it's one of those things, like when my daughter first learned that I was meditating, she was like, "What are you doing like this, Daddy?" Om, you know. and it was funny because I was like, "Yeah, kind of. If you just do that and see what happens." Where do you think that word, that sound, that vibration fits into this whole thing?
Well, the reason I wrote De-stressifying was so that I could really talk about these teachings in a non-woo-woo way to the mainstream world. In the last couple of years, I've been working with law enforcement, with very, very serious business leaders, bankers, the military, and they don't resonate with any of this. So it's not incumbent on me to force it on them. But I think it's a vibration. It's a sound. We sing songs all the time. We have all these connections to various music and musical performers. And I think Om is just like a cool thing that anyone can do. And it really is just heralding the waking state, the sleeping state, the dreaming state, and the state beyond. It's taking those three, waking, dreaming, sleeping, and when you and when you put it all together, that's the transcendent space, which, whether you're spiritual or not, we know that, there's either God, or there's the universe, or there's Jesus, or there's whomever you're praying to. So we know that if you can just have a little faith in something bigger than you, then Om is sort of it heralds our oneness. It heralds our universality. And it speaks to that I'm neither above nor below anybody else. We're truly connected. And our issues are the same issues. Our issues are universal issues. So it's sort of like saying, as famous as someone gets, as rich as someone gets, as amazing as someone gets, they're still putting their pant legs on one leg at a time, pants on one leg at a time, and they're still not higher or lower than anybody else.
Yeah, great stuff from Davidji. Thanks so much for coming in today.
Yeah,
really
thank you,
appreciate
Derek.
it.
It's great
Absolutely,
to be
it's
here.
been great to have you. If you want to be Om Boys with me and Davidji, go to davidji.com. Order the latest book that he's written, De-stressifying, something everyone can learn from, and stick around for more Smarter San Diego, where we guarantee to make you smarter than everyone else. Our next guest is a very good friend of mine. He's a successful CEO. He runs an IT company here in San Diego. He's also a very big human rights activist, and he told me something recently that I could not believe. I checked on it, couldn't believe the research I found, and I had to bring him here today to tell you about it. Please welcome Siamak Karami. Siamak, how you doing, sir?
Good, thank you. Thank you for
Siamak,
having me.
Yeah, I know you, so I know you really well, but I want you to tell the people who have never met you before, give a little bit of a background on you and kind of where you came from and how you got here.
So I actually grew up in Iran, in an Islamic country, until I was 17. And then I moved to Mexico City until I was 18 and a half. Like a year and a half I was there in Mexico City. And got a chance to see a different environment at that age. Being teenage, going from a non-drinking country to a drinking country. And then I came here to San Diego, went to USD, graduated from USD, and then went to China for a couple of years. And lived in China for a couple of years, built a company there, helped build a company there. And then I came back here and started another company. But San Diego is home now.
So San Diego's home. And you've been doing a lot of human rights activist work lately. And this is something that's come over the last 2 or 3 years. You told me about what's going on in China. Now, you've lived in China, but you didn't know this was going on while you lived there, although I think you started to put the pieces together once you got back here and started learning. Well, tell us what's happening in China that no one knows about, the news isn't covering. Tell us what's going on over there.
This is really shocking, actually, to me. And as you were, when I heard about this, I was so shocked. I could not believe it. I was just wondering, this must be a lie. A lot of people might have heard this myth around organ harvesting. And most people think that it's not done by a government. It's always like these organ trades. Unfortunately, there's systematic organ harvesting going on in China right now. And it's done by the government to prisoners of conscience. And people think, oh, these are death row criminals that have killed someone. And this is actually prisoners that they're sitting in a labor camp in thousands, and they're getting tested. Their tissue type, their blood type is getting tested on a systematic, consistent basis. And when foreigners from here or rich Chinese people want to get a transplant done, they go to China. In a couple of weeks, they have access to these people. Unfortunately, these people get killed, and their organs are sold to those individuals. And it's all done through their hospital system.
So what's happening is, and you should look this up if you question it at all, look up the documentaries. We'll provide you some great links and some really good resources here shortly. But there are doctors who have come forward. There are people who are in these labor camps who have sent notes through toys that they are making in these labor camps. There are patients who have come forward and said, yeah, I was scheduled to do a heart transplant 2 weeks out. And other doctors have said, that's not possible. You can't schedule a heart transplant 2 weeks from now. How do you know you're going to have a good heart? Well, the only way you could possibly know that is if you were taking that heart from a live person. So when he says organ harvesting, what we're talking about is we're talking about people who are imprisoned in China. They're imprisoned by the government, and they are then have their organs stolen from them. They're killed, and those organs are then sold. So it's basically an organ business. And the numbers, if you look at how many organs are coming from China, you can see this extreme increase in the number of organs used in transplants that are coming from China.
Absolutely. So China is has the second highest number of transplants, and it doesn't have an organ donation system. And the numbers just don't make any sense. And when the investigation started, actually, the investigation around this organ trafficking transplantation issue was done by two human rights lawyers. I don't know if you've heard their name, David Kilgore, and he was the former Secretary of State for the Canadian Parliament, and David Matas, a famous human rights lawyer for Amnesty International. They did the study in 2006. They found 52 counts of evidence that this is really happening. And ever since then, they've been going around different countries, and they're presenting their evidence, and they're convincing countries to ban organ tourism. So a lot of countries, and actually European Union Parliament has issued a motion to condemn this act.
But they won't admit that it's happening. And that's the problem.
Yeah, the
right?
Chinese government is still saying, initially they were saying this is not happening at all. Now they're saying these are death row prisoners, meaning that these people have killed others or they have conducted other crimes. That's where the Chinese government is standing.
So what actually happened, though, is the people that have been essentially kidnapped, imprisoned, are a specific type of person. In other words, they are of a certain spiritual belief that was running rampant in China. They had 100 million people that were practicing this, and the government became scared of that. They became worried that they were going to lose power to the spiritual practice, which is a very peaceful practice. And this is the thing that's really interesting to me as I dove into this, and you've explained these things to me. The people who practice this spiritual practice called Falun Dafa, right?
Yeah.
They believe that if someone does something bad to them, that it's actually good for their soul, so to speak. It's good for their karma. So if I punch you, then that's me giving you my good karma, and you giving me your bad karma. So they chose a group of people who actually believe that it's good for them if bad things are happening to them, essentially, and as an underlying concept of their karmic beliefs. So they pick the perfect people to do this to, so to speak. Because if you were going to imprison a people, this is the one to do it to. And they're also not very vocal, about the things that are happening to them. So this has been going on for how long now?
For 16 years now.
16 years.
Yes.
This has been happening. I have never heard of this until I heard of it from you. Never seen anything on the news, even though there's been, as you said, the European Parliament has acknowledged this, passed a resolution. There's been multiple things in the Congress, United States Congress.
Yeah.
In fact, there's something going right now, isn't
Yeah,
there?
House Resolution 343 they just put that they introduced it by 9. It was co-sponsored by 9 congressmen, and our goal is to get that finally passed and get the Chinese government to stop this act. But what's going on is the people that are targeted, actually they're practicing this spiritual practice called Falun Gong, Falun Dafa, as you mentioned. They believe in living by truth, compassion, and forbearance, and putting other people above themselves all the time. So if anybody does any harm to you, you just forbear it, and you let it go, and you have compassion for the people. And it's really sad that this is happening to these people that are really good people. At the same time, a lot of times those labor camps, there is news that comes out of them that they have to change the prison guards, because when the prison guards are torturing these people and see how compassionate they are to them, they realize that they're doing something wrong. So every few years or every few months, the Chinese government has to change all these people that are torturing the Falun Gong practitioners. So
which is so interesting, because it's a communist country that is performing this horrific act, literally a modern day Holocaust, for money. They're doing it for money.
Absolutely. And they're estimated that they're making $1 billion a year from this practice. The hospitals are making money from it. The military is making money from it. All of these people, they're middlemen that are making money from this practice. And a lot of these people that are within the system, the act that they're doing, some of these surgeons that going in and doing the surgery on killing someone for making money and taking their body parts and putting it in somebody else, it's just, the act is such a evil act for making money that it shows where the communism in China has gone.
Yeah, great stuff. CMAC, thank you so much for coming here today and shedding light on this issue. You can do your part just by simply going and liking the Facebook page on the link below right here. It's facebook.com/helpstoporganharvesting. And if there's anything that you can do to help, I know it's not a thing of donations, we're not asking for money, nothing like that, but if you can just like this page and share it with your friends, we want to get the word out. We want people to know what's really happening. I think everyone on this planet deserves a fair shot at life, and these people are not getting that. Appreciate you doing that for us. Thank you for watching Smarter San Diego TV. Stick around. Our next guests are the Smarter San Diego Reverse Mortgage Specialist team, the Harms team, Scott and Christina Harms. Welcome to the show, guys.
Morning, Derek.
Morning,
Hey,
thank you.
Great to have you. Now, there's a really important thing going on right now in the world of retirement funding, okay? And a lot of people have underfunded retirement accounts. In other words, they don't have enough money saved for retirement. The reverse mortgage is something that could potentially be the solution for that, right, Scott?
Really true, Derek. As a lot of our clients are turning 62, they found that their pensions, IRAs, 401ks, plus Social Security are not quite enough to get them to a comfortable retirement lifestyle.
Right.
Most financial planners say that Social Security will make up about 40% of the average wage earner's post-retirement income.
40%.
40%.
Okay.
They're going to need about 70% of their pre-retirement income in order to retire comfortably.
Okay.
So the average wage earner is going to have about a 30% shortfall. So they're going to be looking to their other investments, their IRAs, 401ks, pensions, to make up that difference. One of the assets that a lot of homeowners haven't looked at is the equity in their home,
Right.
to help make up that shortfall. And that's what a reverse mortgage can do.
Which is really interesting, because I think originally, we go way back to when people were buying houses for the first time, when you could first own your own property and you got a loan from the bank and you went and you bought a house and you made payments, and eventually you owned the thing free and clear. And that was a good portion of your retirement. In fact, that's the number one thing I recommend people do. If you don't do anything else, make sure you own your home free and clear, because then you'll be okay. Then you'll have options like a reverse mortgage to come in if you didn't save enough money otherwise. But once you get to that point where you've got a house that's paid off, a lot of people think, well, I got to keep the house paid off, right? That was the thing. I need to keep it paid off, otherwise I'll have to make a payment to somebody. But that's not how a reverse mortgage works, is it?
Not at all. In fact, the reverse mortgage was created in 1988 by an act of Congress, signed into law by President Reagan, really to make up for the shortfall from Social Security. Because when Social Security was enacted in 1935, the average life expectancy was 58 years old.
58?
58.
Okay, and Social Security doesn't kick in until 62.
Correct.
So the original idea behind Social Security was, in case you outkick the coverage and outlive the life expectancy, we've got some money here for you, because you probably won't be able to work at that point in time.
That's exactly right.
You got people working until their 70s, 80s now? No
Well,
problem.
that's exactly right. I mean, my life expectancy for my age is 83. So I better have at least 21 years, 21 years cushion built up. Now, Social Security is somewhat flexible in that you can take it at 62, at 66, or you have to take it at 70. Okay. But full retirement age is 66. At your full retirement age, you get to take 100% of your benefits.
Okay.
But you can take them early at 62, but you pay a penalty for that. For each year prior to full retirement age, you take your benefits, there's a 6% reduction in benefits. So if you take your benefits at 62, you're taking a 24% deduction.
And that's permanent, right?
Permanent, long term. But now if you can actually wait till you're 70, 4 years after full retirement age, for each year you wait, your benefits increase by 8%.
That's huge.
So that's a 32% increase in what your permanent Social Security benefits will be. So what we find is a lot of our clients that have, say, 40% or more equity in their home can use a reverse mortgage to supplement their monthly income to delay taking Social Security.
I see.
And if they wait from the time they're 62 till they're 70, that is a 54% increase in what their Social Security benefits will be.
That's so big. It's huge. Now you say getting paid through the reverse mortgage, so I'm going to get Christina involved here. Tell us about some of these options, because how do you get paid from a reverse mortgage?
Well, it's really the equity in your home. So it's proceeds, and it's equity that you've already paid into your home. So you can get it immediately as a lump sum. You can get the money right now. And a lot of our clients do that maybe if they want to pay off a car, pay off some credit, minimize some of that outgoing cash every month. The first way that a reverse mortgage is always used is to pay off your current mortgage if you have one. People with a small mortgage pay that off first. Then they have options to use the money in various ways. Maybe to get a little extra income every month. You can do that like we talked about for delaying Social Security.
So I don't have to take all the money at once then. Basically I can, if I want to get a reverse mortgage, let's say I have to pay off my mortgages first, whichever mortgage I have, if I have one.
If you have one, yes.
I have to pay those off first. But then what's left over, I can take every month instead of taking it all at once?
Absolutely. And we can kind of do a mix and match, whatever is really right for you. Say you want to buy a new car. So you take maybe $30,000, get that new car now, but then you do want the additional income. So every month you're going to maybe receive $1,000 and you're not going to have a mortgage payment anymore. So that really increases your cash flow, and you already got some of the upfront money.
So let me ask you this then. So if I have, let's say, $100,000 available that I could take out all at once, but I choose to get it every month. Am I going to get it for 100 months then? Because I'm going to get $1,000 a month for 100 months, and then it's over. Is that how it works?
Well, it's really going to depend on your age at the time we're looking at it, and how much equity you have, and what your goals are. So that's going to come up with a formula. If you're going to take a 10-year payment, which is an equal monthly payment for as long as you live in the home, then that's going to be one thing. If you want to delay Social Security and you're telling me, I'm 62 now and I want to wait till I'm 70 to take Social Security, so figure out how much monthly you can give me. We can do a term for 8 years, and I can give you this much monthly just for 8 years, and then stop it once you want to take Social Security.
Wow.
One of the benefits of that is that then Social Security is no longer tied to if you live in the home.
That's huge.
Reverse mortgage, you do have to live in the home to get these monthly payments. So
Right.
It's a really smart strategy overall.
So it sounds like it's very flexible then, as far as what's possible based around the needs of the individual and how they're trying to structure funding their retirement.
Really flexible, and you can change your mind over time in that you could start by saying, I want a 10-year payment. And again, that's Tenure, 10-year payment.
Not a 10-year payment.
Not a 10-year, 10-year payment. And that's, again, as Christina said, calculated on your age and equity in the home. And you could be taking that payment, say it calculated out to $1,300 a month for the first 8 years, from 62 to 70. Then when Social Security kicks in, you could quit taking that altogether, and whatever the available balance is on your reverse mortgage, that balance grows by the note rate. So each year you don't take additional money on the reverse mortgage, the balance available to you gets bigger.
Interesting.
And
so that's huge, because there are a lot of people who might say, you know what, I think I have enough. I think we've got enough saved up here. But who knows? I mean, a lot of people are living to be 100 plus years old, right? So if you have the opportunity to put aside something, even if you're not taking money out right now, but if you have the opportunity to get one of these credit lines established so that you can have it grow and have something there just in case, and it doesn't really cost you anything to have it accrue over time, right?
It doesn't. In fact, the credit line is going to grow, and the credit line will grow faster than what the money would be available to you if you just waited to be older, because the amount you can get is calculated on your age, but it grows faster as a credit line than it does because of your age at point of entry. Okay?
Gotcha.
And this credit line is great for what's called a standby reverse mortgage, and this is used a lot by financial planners in that for borrowers that don't really feel like they actually need it, they get the standby reverse mortgage, which the available balance to them gets bigger every year, and then they do portfolio management with it. In down years in the market, instead of pulling money out of the market, they pull money against their reverse mortgage credit line. In up years, they actually are pulling money from their investment portfolio and paying down the reverse mortgage.
That is absolutely brilliant.
It can triple the life of an investment portfolio for a retiree. And one of the things we have found is that many retirees fear running out of money more than they fear dying.
Yeah. Well, this is an amazing opportunity for people who are 62 years or older if you own your own home. Scott and Christina, thank you so much for being here today and explaining to us the reverse mortgage details.
Thank you.
If it's the case that you have questions about reverse mortgages, call Scott and Christina Harms. They will shoot you straight. They'll tell you what you can do to potentially save an underfunded retirement or just live more comfortably in your golden years.
Hey, great show, guys. That's a wrap. Jade, what's your schedule look like? Do you mind breaking down the set?
Not today, Derek. I'd love to, but there's waves out there. I gotta go. Angela? Nikki?
Yeah, I gotta go beat traffic. And I think Nikki's making something up there.
Look at this. We did this. We did all of this.